We are back with Illinois State Representative candidates Thurgood Brooks, Jeff Deppe, and Greg Johnson. Illinois state lawmakers adopted some sweeping criminal justice reforms and police funding laws over the last couple of years, treating cash bail on a case-by-case basis, shifting lower drug crimes to treatment programs, and mandating body cameras by police. Now, are some of the criminal justice reforms, those are, and then on the policing front, there's a co-responder pilot program to add social workers and mental health professionals to law enforcement agencies. The state established a fund to give grants to local governments to recruit and retrain police departments and officers. But critics say the changes have weakened police departments and prompted officers to leave, and that more criminals are now allowed on the streets because of this. So how do cities attract police officers? What changes to the law would you pursue in these areas? Mr. Brooks, we'll start with you this time.
Well, first I want to start by saying the work behind that bill is important. When I did the resolution back in 2020, we were heavily involved with he's running for Senate, Representative Halpin, and his work behind that down state level. So I'm for it. And I'm not too much concerned about the concerns of being safe, because the judges we have in place, I believe in their discretion to keep people who need to be incarcerated for heinous offenses to be incarcerated beyond cash bail. And so as for what we can do to address the police issue and the community issue with policing, we got to look at the root problem, not the symptoms. And by that, Jim, I mean affordable housing is important. If you don't have stable housing, you may have other stressors and uncomfortabilities. Education is important. The environment is important. Healthcare is important. So we look at different things, keeping people active, giving people ways to live, in healthy, stable communities. I believe crime rates go down. Data shows that. And so we need to start stop looking at the symptoms, look at the root problem, and address the community as a whole, and the crime rate and the policing will work together.
What about the concern, though, the police are leaving the force? How do you attract police officers?
I believe we can start attracting police officers through this bill by educating them and the community what it really means. I think there's been too much misinformation out there regarding it, but also we have a police commission we have in Rock Island. And part of that is circle around that bill a little bit, because we want to include police officers, returning citizens, mental health professionals, and people of that sort, so they can start working together and communicating in the sense that we are here together. And so police officers understand it's not us against them. We are together, we're united, and I do believe in communication, education. We won't have a concern at a high rate of losing police officers.
Mr. Johnson, the Criminal Justice Reform and the Policing Act were 2 different years. Is Illinois on the right path with both of those? And what changes do you think does the state need to pursue, and what would you try to pursue if elected?
You know, I think the Safety Act I was on the phone constantly every day, because I come from the Department of Corrections, spent 30+ years there, and I was on the phone with Representative Halpin on several occasions watching this bill. I think really a lot of the poison features in the bill were like unfunded mandates on the body cams. You know, those are things that need to be taken care of. Making sure that these reforms are followed all over the state. But I think really, Jim, from the perspective, Thurgood's exactly right. You know, you want to address crime, you need to address poverty. You know, people reach for guns and they commit crimes more often than not because they feel like they're being left behind and they're forgotten. You know, but I think the biggest complaint on the law enforcement side was a lot of these negotiations took place without them in the room. And I think they wanted to be a part of those negotiations. It seemed like day to day that bill just kept changing. It kept going from whether it's body cams to I know qualified immunity was an issue that was talked about at many points. And I just think that there have been more negotiation, more discussion. I think there's still more work to be done. But I just think it should have been probably a more open process.
Republicans criticize these actions, though, saying that criminals are basically, it's a revolving door. They get arrested and they're back on the streets. How do you respond to that?
Well, maybe Republicans should start making sure that people in these communities have the resources they need to succeed. You know, I don't believe that the vast majority of people go out there just to commit crimes. I think they're out there because they lack supervision. They have no structure. They're hurting. You know, I just don't buy into this that you're born a criminal. I just don't.
Mr. Deppe, your same question to you. We have the criminal justice reform side of legislation that was adopted, and this year there's the policing funding, essentially, tried to attract and retain them. You agree with those policies, and what changes or modifications do you think can still be done to improve both of those fronts?
I agree with both my constituents here. The one thing I do hear a lot at the doors is, number one, is they want Congress to stop fighting. But number two is they want more police in the street. They don't want to defund the police, and they want our kids to stop killing each other. And the way we can incentivize to put more police on the street is the fact that we don't have enough police hired now. We can take that allotment of money and incentivize it by raising the pay of the police. So I think that would help. At the same time, but I agree with the cash bail, because a lot of our citizens, they could lose their car, they could lose their house or their job. So by allowing them to go with the non-cash bail, I think that's the right way to go.
And that's also, again, that's a case-by-case basis. It's not for the more heinous crimes. Those judges do have some discretion there. The actions, when you hear Republicans criticize it, though, they are talking about the revolving door. They're saying people, let's say even for shoplifting crimes, being able to get out and they're doing the smash and grabs, that sort of thing.
But so they've done a lot of amendments to that bill. There was the two-phone call rule that's been changed, where that starts at. The cash grab's been changed, and they also changed some of the rules for the young kids that are stealing cars. So I think it was a good start. I wasn't a big fan of it in the beginning, but where we're at now, I think it's better. I sit on Arrowhead School Board, where we have the first in the state deferred juvenile justice program, where we take kids under 18, help them finish their high school diploma, and we wipe out their felonies. At the same time, we try to help them by hooking them into people like Dwight Ford and help them find jobs. And that's the key to the future for our young kids. We have to be tough on crime, but not just throw everybody in jail.
A quick yes or no question from all. Do you feel that police have adequate protections for themselves right now? Yes or no for police?
Could be better.
No.
I don't think they do.
And by protection, I'd also mean one thing we worked hard on and we still advocating for here locally. I believe police officers need to have space to have time away from off their beat, not eating lunch in their car. Their mental health is important too.
Every cop I know right now is getting fiduciary insurance on themselves because they don't know if they're going to be covered.
I was just talking to someone last week, and Moline's got this great program where they're trying to send mental health professionals out with their police officers. They're having a hard time finding people to do that. They need more help in the field in addressing situations.
We put the conversation on pause one more time. Right now, our question of the week: what do you think can be done to recruit more police officers? Send your answer by email to fortherecord@whbf.com, or respond to this post on Facebook at the Local 4 News WHBF TV page or on my page.